We back. Round two.
Yup.
Dr. Bo, you got the question?
This show is
You want me
sponsored
to start
by.
singing BBL
I'm
Drizzy?
not gonna put it up there. I know you gotta pay us to sponsor you. Yeah, pay us to sponsor you.
Well, we kind of talked about this before, but I was looking at a podcast that was actually from 3 years ago. And it was saying how politics are telling us a lot of the reasons why many of the problems, student loan debt, reparations, poverty, homelessness, all of these things just cannot be done. Cannot be fixed. There has to be, the community has to fix them. Yet, and this was 3 years ago, Biden was still sending hundreds of millions of dollars out of the country to settle international disputes. Now, they're sending hundreds of billions out of the country. What does that say about people who participate in our voting system when most of our country is either in poverty or working check to check? Most of our population is working class and down. Yet we're still voting or participating in a political system that tells you we're not going to fix your problems because we find more financial benefit in sending the money somewhere else, which is in fact your money. What are we talking about that? Especially having an international person here.
Sam, do you care?
I don't care about politics, but I'll put it in. I'll put it in. I'm not, not American, by the way. I got toss it in, right? Two, I don't know. I hear, I hear a bunch of stuff, when they say to fix. I don't know if it's homelessness. I don't know if it's hunger. I remember it cost like 20-something million or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. The government won't do it and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I guess, if I was to stick to the question, what do I feel about the voters? I have come to realize, I'm not the biggest politics man, but I've come to realize that the lawmaking, right, the people that make the law, I believe that the people that influence the lawmaking the most are the people that we don't pay attention to their elections. I don't know if I'm making sense. Because apparently it's not the governor and the president. Those are the ones who pay attention to the presidential and the governorship elections. But apparently there are like other smaller, I believe it's the House of Reps, if I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Something like that?
House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm. All those, the ones that, impact, those are the people, those representatives and senators, I guess, the ones that impact the law making. We don't vote for that. So I just feel like, in terms of how we look as voters, we should be more educated, I believe. Because, me personally, I wasn't educated about it until like last year. To be honest, I'm not even American. So that's how I feel. That's my 2 cents.
Why are we participating in a system that is clearly prioritizing international needs over domestic needs that would better the lives of the rank and file Americans?
I think people participate because they were told that it would make a difference, and they think it'll make a difference, even if it won't.
But like I think the biggest group that impacted was the baby boomers, my parents.
What? That what?
The
Voting?
gotta vote, because they, my grandparents' generation fought for the right to vote, and the baby boomers brought it home, and after.
So don't you think? So you say like there's less participating in like the voting now compared to the baby boomers.
No, what I'm saying is the baby boomers had that huge enthusiasm about this is going to make a difference, but my parents are baby boomers, which would put them in mid 70s now. By their mid 70s, they should see this ain't got us nothing. By the time you're in your 30s, you say, I'll keep voting for stuff and my life ain't changed. And that's multiplied by 333 million. At what point do we keep falling for the banana in the tailpipe? Not only are black folks not getting nothing because it's majority rules and we're only 13% of the population. So obviously we're not the majority. So there is not even a mathematical opportunity that something is going to benefit us. But even the poor people who are the majority are still not getting legislation in their favor because you had done the math one time, said either homelessness or hunger could
20
have
billion.
Right, could have been fixed when we just sent 100 billion to Israel. We talking about 10 years of hunger or homelessness that you had added up. So at what point, but we're still, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. Who you gonna vote for? Gotta get Trump out of there. Old Biden is forgetting stuff, he fell down the stairs. We still engaged in a voting system that does not help poor people and gives us the excuse. The reason why it doesn't is because it will cost too much. But they will put in the paper, oh, we're sending 100 billion with a B.
You go ahead.
I feel like what options does one have? There are two options: to vote or not to vote. If you don't vote, nothing happens. If you do vote, nothing might
I
happen.
think the
Yeah,
issue is
man.
no unity. Some people don't vote, some people do vote, but it's not enough people not voting to make an effect, or enough
Voting.
people voting that they're voting for different stuff, so it's not having an effect.
Well, either way, it ain't gonna have much of an effect. A good bit of our population is incarcerated.
Okay, but we are making a truth something that is not necessarily a truth. Why does success have to be rooted in voting at all? Did slavery end because of voting?
Well, I'm saying like success isn't in voting. Success is in the change, but we're not seeing change because either people are voting for two different things, or we need everybody to not vote. Because if just a few people don't vote, then it's just gonna be those votes don't count. But if everybody doesn't vote, then something has to change.
But the change that we have recorded historically happened had nothing to do with voting. Slavery did not end because of voting. Slavery ended because black people were allowed to participate in the Civil War. Civil rights did not end because of voting. It was because of economic deprivation, the bus boycotts, protests, nothing really to do with politicians enacting something to make it happen. Actually, the political stuff made it stop the stuff that was working. oh, we're going to give them something so they'll shut up, which is what they did with George Floyd. They came out with Juneteenth, which don't got nothing to do with nothing in the country other than Texas. They make a national holiday, and black folks got distracted. That's the only time voting has really done anything in the black community, is to stop progress as opposed to starting it. So at what point do we really look at the record of voting and say, Dr. King was wrong? Many of our leaders were wrong. They thought it, and they were sincere in their thought. And the value in finding out that they were wrong is that we now know, okay, this is an economic fight. This isn't a political fight. So it's value in them, in their being, in their argument, in their contribution. But all of our empowerment have been through segregation. Either segregation of our money, segregation of our participation, focusing in on our resources, HBCUs, the black church, all of that, and those were things that they had to strategically attack. Why are we still, is it because our grandparents told our parents and our parents told us and my generation told your generation, vote, 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 vote? When are we going to do some analysis on our own? You've been eligible to vote for going on 20 years. Has your life changed from your vote?
I only voted once, so.
Have you seen, you've lived through 4 or 5 presidents in your adulthood? Has your life changed with who was the
Never.
president?
Never. Republican,
Governor.
Democrat. I don't even know what the governor is at the time.
County prosecutor.
Who?
Exactly.
We still know.
I probably shouldn't say nothing, but like mine low key has. I gotta keep it a stack, and I haven't been here too long. Mine low key has. Now, I'm even gonna lie. What's it called? The things that concern me is not much when it comes to American stuff. It's just one. I'm not saying it's literally just one, and I'm not gonna keep it. I'm not gonna say it. But
What is the one thing?
But Trump was crazy on that one thing.
What was it?
Trump was crazy. You know, like when it comes to like immigration and stuff like that. Trump was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Well,
Explain.
and I think during Trump people were making money. I think people were making money during Trump. No?
I don't know. Explain. Tell me your perspective.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I think towards the tail end of Trump's time.
Well, the tail end of Trump's time is not really fair on him because that was COVID. So it wasn't, a lot of people wasn't making money. I think that's probably the only reason why he lost was because COVID just shut the country down and he kind of had the wrong narrative on it. So I think the economy was doing well. I know the economy was doing well up till COVID, and then
Maybe.
yeah.
True.
But did you have concerns as an international student coming over to, better yourself, contribute to
There was a
society?
point he banned all like Nigerians from getting a visa. You know what I'm saying? And my dad was like having like prostate cancer at that time, and he would have to go to the embassy. But at that point in time, there would be almost no point to go to the embassy in Nigeria. I remember I was having a prostate cancer, and everyone was like, "Oh, Dad, don't do the surgery in Nigeria because you can." They gonna kill you. They gonna kill you. They gonna kill you. I'm gonna go like, so say, come to America, do you think? He has his doctor, in Houston or what's it, Herman something, Methodist or whatever, right? And I'm not too sure. I think right after Biden came, I think he switched a few things around, like literally the day he came. I'm not too sure, right? But I remember it was a lovely January. It was a lovely February. He discovered the prostate cancer in, I think, November, so he wasn't paying for a minute. He couldn't get a visa. Biden came, and I think, who's his vice? I don't really
Kamala
know.
Harris.
Kamala Harris. I think her parents are immigrants too.
Yes.
So there was some, I think India and something like Jamaica or something like that. Yeah. So it was smooth that they released the bans and stuff like that. He got his visa, came over here, got it knocked out. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh. So for me,
So who even though you're not an American citizen,
Yeah, I saw
who
impact.
was president was majorly important to you.
yes.
Wow.
Yes. Now times is changing slowly. Times is changing slowly, and Trump may have benefit for a young man like me, economically at least.
Hey,
You know what
talk
I'm
to me.
saying? Trump might have benefit for a young man because now I'm growing now. More things different. More at that time, more new things interest me now. New things like business. As running international business in a foreign land is crazy. You know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff I'm interested in now.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, immigrations will go way smoother when they know that you're having a 6-figure, 7-figure business paying interest. What they call it? Paying tax to America when you're not even from here, type stuff. So that would probably even gonna go smoother. And Trump is just gonna help me put a bow on it.
I mean, he'll always look out for rich people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the poor people.
Hey, that's for my 2 cents in there.
So, politics in your life, has any politics, voting, who's president, who's governor, who's county commissioner, has that ever affected your being?
Not that I'm aware of.
So why does the world shut down every 4 years? Or just black people? Why are we still? Is it still because of the civil rights movement or Reconstruction, or why are we so? Because we said, oh,
Maybe the idea is that someone made a sacrifice to have that right, so why not use it, I guess.
well, a right is a privilege. It is not a requirement. I will fight for your right to say something, even if I don't want to hear it.
But then the point is, okay, you fought for my right to say it, so now I have the option, do I say it or do I not say it? And it's like, well, someone did fight for my right to say it, so I'm gonna take the opportunity to say it.
Okay, so once you start saying it and you see it makes no difference if you say it or not, just because the person fought for the right, you keep talking and nobody's listening? Or do you say, maybe this is not a talking situation, maybe this is a building situation. Maybe I need to build something as opposed to talk, because talking is not making a difference. Even though somebody fought for my right to talk.
I mean, I think it's hard not to say both, because you could go build some stuff, but I know as far as me, young people, kids, you can tell them stuff a bunch of times and they don't listen. I told you 9 times, they don't listen, but the 10th time, they might catch on. So it's really up to the person who has the right in their hands.
So my question is three Americans here and 1 Nigerian?
2 Nigerians.
What is 2 Nigerians? You be switching back and forth.
Hey,
Yo, it's Sam.
only when it's convenient.
I take my high shit back. I take my high shit back.
I am a Nigerian American. What?
He is
American?
a national
Whatever
communion.
however you want to say
How
He's
many,
an
how, many
international
times
man.
have, how many times have you heard me say he's Nigerian? He go, I was born in Oklahoma. My bad.
I ain't never denied being Nigerian.
You didn't deny being Nigerian. You said your answer was I was born in Oklahoma. And I was like, oh,
so
my
I'm
bad.
both.
Yeah, okay. So I'm saying you just switched. You got to kill a crossover. Sometimes you go left.
I don't
Sometimes
think
you
I
go
don't
right.
think that's what I feel like. You heard it wrong. And I wasn't saying I was born in Oklahoma. Like I'm not that. I'm just saying I'm both.
So his answer is C, all of the above.
All of the above.
Okay. Let me rephrase.
You
my-
asked me something about Africa. I'm like, bro, I ain't never been there. I'm like, I was born in Oklahoma.
Okay, let me reframe my statement. We have 2 Americans, one
Three?
one sometime.
I'm American all the time. I'm Nigerian all the time. I just don't ask a question about Africa. I wasn't there. I ain't gonna lie.
All right, so we got 3 Americans.
Yeah.
Ain't that what I said?
You said 3 Americans.
Oh my God!
one
I said
Nigerian.
we got 3 Americans and 1
Nigerian.
Nigerian.
We got 2.
All right, let me change it. Let me change it. We have 3 American citizens and a continental African.
Yes.
I have a question. I have a question.
What's the question?
It's like a marker on the board. I can't lie. But so
It ain't gonna be on camera, so please just stay what you got.
no, it's gonna be right here. Man, come on.
So you gonna put the board over there?
Yeah. You know, little boy.
Class is in session.
Session.
Yes, sir.
Session. So I have a question, okay? And I tried to make some sense of this. Doc, you're the doc. Get me. So you said baby boomers, right? That's when the time voting started, right?
No.
No, I mean for black people. Black people was allowed to vote around.
That's when it picked up, or
No.
they put emphasis on.
No.
When black people are allowed to vote.
13th Amendment ended slavery. The 14th Amendment was equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment was the right for blacks to vote. That was in 15th Amendment, because I know folks on this thing be ready to get a brother. (1869).
1869.
The 50 years immediately after the Civil War was the greatest amount of black political interaction in the history of the country.
Okay,
So
so
more people were voting, more blacks got voted into office in that period.
okay, so 155 years ago, right? 155 years ago, black people could vote, right? But there was low participation, right?
Who said there was low participation?
I thought that's what you said.
I said that was the highest participation.
Oh, I'm tripping.
in
Okay, so 155 years ago, from today, is 1869. Okay, so if an election happens every 4 years, right? Just let's go based off the presidential. I know there are multiple elections, and if election happens every 4 years, if we divide 155 by 4. Right, I'm getting to my point, I promise. That's 30, that's about 38, let's call it 39 opportunities for change. Right? Let's call it at that, right? Do you think in regards to the amount of the opportunity for change, right? Let's say this is the level of change. So this is time. This is level of change. Level of change. Do you think in the 39 opportunities we had, 39 data points of this, every 4 years, it takes 4 years to make one data point. Do you think 39 iterations has not been enough to get to the what I would call the break change point, or in business world, the break even point, right? So do you think it's 39 that they need more iterations of elections and black participation elections specifically to break even or break change?
No,
You don't think so?
no.
Why
The
not?
system was made with black people not being an active participant in it. It was made for Native Americans not to be active participant in it. It was made for women to not be an active participant in it. It was made for Mexicans not to be an active participant in it. The system is not broken. It works fine because in those 39 opportunities, 38 of them reflected something other than a white male. The only diversity in our presidents, if you remove Barack Obama, is if he had a mustache or not. So it works the way it's supposed to work. No matter who was participating at what level, the outcomes were still the same. So the system is not made to produce anything different, but the propaganda is over time, the more opportunities, the better it'll get.
Possibly.
But the thing is, change is not the same thing as progress. I can punch you in the eye, and then we go to domestic violence class, and I stop punching you I start kicking you in the stomach. Well, when we go, I've changed. Like, wait a minute, we're still getting the same outcome. But is progress? No, change and progress is not the same thing. So, no, if the number one, if majority rules, and as soon as I don't need black bodies in the country, I control immigration. Do you think, if you just had to guess, Trump's ban was on Ireland just like it was Nigeria, or on London just like it was Nigeria, or in Italy like it was Nigeria, or in any of the polls, like it was Nigeria? Or were we stopping people of color from coming into the country?
It don't seem like those stopping people of color because most of the people on that list were from Africa. Most of the countries, man, I can't even lie. Most of the countries,
So if I can control the population, I can control the interest. And if white interest is historically one way and black interest is another way, and I can keep the proportionate numbers, we're never going to have a systematic outcome change because I'm controlling the majority, and democracy is majority rule, or even a republic, which is what we are. We're not a democracy.
that's interesting. What is I don't know. I don't mean to get off topic here, but like
You got Joel off camera.
I'm gonna move on.
I believe. I don't mean to get off topic, but I believe when you guys vote for presidents and stuff, it doesn't matter. Even though the majority votes for someone, there's still like another like counts.
Electoral college.
Something like, yeah.
It's supposed to be representative of who everybody voted for.
But
they can still make.
But
decisions.
the majority of that is what counts, right? Not the majority of the votes.
Well, you'd have to vote for them, right? You have to vote for the voters.
I believe it's how big the city or the state is, I guess, determines how many goes in.
Yes.
So if the quantity,
population.
if the majority, right? So if we're basing who wins or who loses off the quantity, right? Hence the majority. It's kind of messed up for smaller states, right? Am I
Well,
Well,
population.
no, they actually make it proportionally different. But since you brought up the Electoral College, why did they come up with the Electoral College?
Because people weren't educated, I guess, on what they were voting for, or what what they're picking, or is it that's what they were told. That's what they told us, at least in school.
It had something to do with slavery, after slavery.
Yes, it did. Population. Most of the South were black slaves. And they were saying, wait a minute, the North is always going to win because our labor force is most of our population. So they said, okay, we'll tell you what. Can we count the slaves? No, we can't count the slaves because they're not people. So they said, okay, we'll count each slave as 3/5 of a person. And the electoral, so it'll calculate your population, but it don't necessarily calculate the votes because they're not human and they can't vote. So what we'll do is it'll go to a representative system once the votes go in, and it'll be tallied by the population of the area because only 5 people can vote, but it's 5,000 people that's there. So it'll go into this calculation system, which is the Electoral College, and you will get so many electoral votes based on your population numbers as opposed to the individual votes. Why is it slavery ended in 1865? We still have an electoral college.
So so you saying that they still count us as 3/5 of a person?
I'm
Not
saying
necessarily.
that was why the electoral college was made.
But slavery didn't end.
No.
But if you let this, that is not the country's narrative. If you say slavery did not end, even though that's what the 13th Amendment said, people will go crazy. So what I'm saying,
But the people that they technically consider slaves, they don't even have the ability to vote because they would then be convicted. Convicted felons cannot vote.
what if they're saying that everybody's free and the national narrative,
They lied. It's a lie. It's cap.
I'm just saying,
Well,
should,
what's up with the popular vote? Because you got the electoral college and then you got the popular vote.
that's
That's
what
two
I'm
different
saying.
votes.
Why do we still have the electoral college if we no longer have to count 3/5 of a person? Why are we not just moving off a popular vote? These are the things that should either outrage Americans or illustrate why the political structure does not serve the majority of Americans. It definitely doesn't serve black people. Why are we participating? The things that have changed social structures in our favor has had nothing to do with voting. Why are we not doing those things? Business has changed things. Segregating resources of our community changed things. Taking control of our education changed things. But we still function as though voting has had some historic significant outcome for us. And I am hard pressed to find what that is.
Do you think most black people do that? Feel
I think
voting
most
is-
Americans do.
But do you think most black people
Yes.
think voting is,
Yes.
is effective?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know a lot of black people that think voting is effective. Like it's changing their lives.
I don't know about black people that say that.
I don't know how effective they think it is, but I know how passionate they are about the process.
I don't know that many people that are passionate about voting.
I gotta keep it a stack. I don't know them too.
I see it on social media,
Right.
but personally,
On social
I don't
media,
see people
on
who I don't know them personally.
When you very, especially when you're talking about my generation, when you find a black person that says, I don't vote, I have never voted, and I never will vote, you get some visceral reactions from people. Now, I didn't say I'm gonna come to your house and take your television, but I have had people stop talking to. I remember somebody said, "Well, you can't talk to me about politics, then." Wait a minute. Because I choose not to participate in a system that has erased my knowledge base, I have a more broad and acute knowledge base of American politics than 97% of the population. But you don't want to hear from me because someone who is vastly educated in the topic chooses not to participate in it. So you would rather talk to somebody who knows nothing about politics, who votes every time. That makes no sense to me. Absolutely not. So I ask again. Now, one thing that's really odd, is it because Trump is in trial that I'm not really hearing a lot about the presidential election, but has anybody noticed, even as long as you guys have been alive, isn't the presidential election usually a lot more in mainstream than it is right now?
I mean, his case is more mainstream. I know that the judge just allowed him. It's usually every other Wednesday, something like that. His case that he goes to trial or whatever. Because I think right now he's in the middle of a trial. But I know recently they just allowed him to go to his son's graduation, and people were expressing that if he was black or something like that, that judge wouldn't have like reset that hearing just so he can allow him to go to his son's graduation. Other than that, if he was black, they would have kept it moving.
Oh, as much as I would like to be Brother Black a lot, he is a former president.
That's just what I was gonna say.
I think
That's
if
what I
it
was
was
gonna say,
Barack,
Dude,
That's what I was gonna say. Too.
if it was
No
Barack,
disrespect.
they would have shifted the schedule. Am I wrong?
hell no.
They would.
As
I'm not
somebody-
wrong.
He the president.
As somebody who goes to court weekly, when you're in the middle of a trial, it's not about your schedule.
No.
Not at all.
You are right. I'm saying not the color thing. I'm saying
It's
the
very,
class.
it's very much so colored.
Well,
that's
no.
what I
It's
I'm
very much so.
just saying. Had you put into it, they would have done that because he was the president. So if it was Barack Obama and Sasha was graduating, I think they would be
I
like,
think they'll let him go too.
yeah. I'm just saying because they redid Michael Jackson stuff. Michael Jackson came to court in pajamas, dressed like Captain Crunch.
Hey, I'm just telling y'all.
I'm just-
his trial is more popular than the presidential.
Can I ask a general question? Just a real general. Do you think? I don't know. Again, I'm not American. Don't you know what? Okay, I ask. Well, don't crucify me, because I'm not a guest. Do you think? I'm saying. Do you think if I won't say we, I'll say Americans, right? If do you think if Black Americans make this thought of, oh, because I'm black, right? Because it feels like, it feels like every single time someone says to me, because I'm black, no disrespect, but I hear some kind of like excuse. No, now it may be a good one, maybe, I don't know, right? But I feel like that mentality is blocking people from going harder.
Depends on what the question is. What you asking?
I don't know. I feel like it's blocking people from going harder.
It depends on your knowledge base.
Okay.
If you don't know why I'm saying that,
Okay.
then you really can't make an assessment if it's true or not. If you don't have the education in American history that they are tying the circumstance to? You don't know.
Okay.
So
Like if I get pulled over and someone's like, "Why you get pulled over?" I'm black.
Okay, wait, so I have a question. I have a question. How much more different am I from y'all in America right now? Just randomly. How much more different
To who?
to y'all? Like so like you guys are Native Americans. Sorry, I'm tripping. You guys are, when I mean Native Americans, I mean y'all are originally from here. But you guys are African Americans, right? I'm African in America.
Mm-hmm.
How much different am I from y'all in regards to the knowledge of, I won't say knowledge, but like in regards to the impact of the knowledge of slavery, like how much different am I from y'all right now? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if y'all get what I'm saying.
No. You're saying, how do we differ? How did slavery make us different than the continental Africans?
I guess what I'm trying to say is,
Or are you talking about experiences?
no, I just mean like, okay, so I was originally saying that, oh, okay, when people say, oh, because I'm black, right? I feel like, yes, because you're black, right? But I feel like holding on to this mentality as hard as it is held on to, right, may have some setbacks that may be minor, maybe major, but I think I'm more major than minor, right?
I think experiences, which here, the longer you stay here, the more you'll understand.
Wow,
Because as Africans tend to separate themselves from us, when police see me and see you, he see
They're
the
the
same
same thing.
thing.
That's what I was trying to get to. Like,
So
how
it's
different?
the
How
exact
different
same
are we?
thing.
Well, not that different, right?
But as you
You're
go
saying to
through
the
your
white people or the
experiences
black
in
people?
America, you're gonna. I think you're gonna have the ability to more so see what the hell we talking about.
Right.
But as long as y'all want to continue to set y'all selves from us, either way, we the only ones who gonna have you back.
And there is a different reaction to you when you start to speak. Now, I can look at you and tell, okay, he's international. But when, no, I'm gonna tell you, my wife works in the medical field. Africans, continental Africans, are not treated the same way black people are treated. And the more continental Africans differentiate themselves from black people, the more they are treated different. American black people is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there is a slight difference. So, I have seen how, and I've had the pleasure of knowing quite a few continental Africans, as to where some of them feel that we're not even cut from the same cloth. Like, the diasporic ideology is not something they subscribe to, whereas we are extended by genetic, connected to each other. So if you have an education in the history of the country and understand the systems that still function in our society, there are things that make life, there are built-in historic outcomes to policy, practice, and culture that affects black people disproportionately and different. And here is the proof. You had several presidents apologize for the war on drugs because it affected black people differently. Senator Hillary Clinton said, yep, we was wrong. Former President Bill Clinton said, yep, we were wrong. Former President, current President Biden, yep, we were wrong. So they showed how systems all the way until the 80s and 90s with the war on drugs, the 1994 crime bill, truth in sentencing, um, uh, mandatory minimums, 3-strike rule disproportionately and systematically affected black people. They made legislation that powder cocaine, usually used by white people, had a much more lenient punishment than crack cocaine, which was being put in the black community. You went to jail longer and you had much more harsher sentencing. So there were things that were happening in modern America that disproportionately happened to you because you were black. And we don't have to go back to Jim Crow. We don't have to go back to segregation. We don't have to go back to convict leasing. We don't have to go back to slavery. This is 1994. It is some people still locked up because of that. So yes, there are things that happened to George Floyd, 2016, all the way up to George Floyd. They were disproportionately killing unarmed black folks. It was having armed and violent white people getting arrested without incident, and unarmed black people getting killed. It was things happening because you were black and because it was acceptable to do it to black people. So that is just something that is statistically, socially, and historically true. But if I don't know that, it sounds like you just copping out. I'm black as you are. Ain't nobody doing it to me.
We've had Africans who, I know worked for this university. They qualified for everything to get into the program and are still denied. And they're wondering why am I denied? And if you don't know that, hey, there's a racist system that's keeping you out of it, then you won't even know that.
At this university, I graduated with a 3.82 in their master's program. I was told not to apply because I did not think like a historian, and more than one of them told me they would not vote for me. Not only did I go up the street to a better university, I graduated faster than anyone ever had in that program. I graduated with a 4.0, and I have a PhD when they told me I was not cut from the cloth to get it. How many black people have been accepted in the history program at this university? One. How many have graduated? None. That is not an excuse. That is a statistical fact. This is not somebody we're talking about. This is me. Just saying. When you don't have the information, propaganda sounds good. But when you got the information, bros, hard to deny. Which leads me back to, we have the information on voting. It hasn't done anything in our community, yet we're still voting. I think we can go and wrap it.
New song out. Go stream that love poem. Link in the